been a couple years since I've done one of these, but welcome to Season 2 of Man with a Useless College Degree Teaches Shit He Learned While Obtaining His Useless Degree, starring me, Professor Wetgood. Now please, class, take your seats and get ready, because I'm about to make your minds ejaculate. Today's subject, keto diets. What are ketogenic diets? How do they work? Can you do a ketogenic diet while playing Fortnite? Will Fortnite run for president? All of these questions will be answered in today's lesson. I'm sure the majority of you are at least familiar with the name keto diet without maybe understanding exactly what it is, but it's really been quite the fad. It's been all over the media. It's just been lighting that bitch up. People have been promoting the health benefits for a couple of years now, and it's really starting to catch on. So let's go ahead and start. Keto is short for ketogenic. I'm sure every third grader in the world could put that fucking puzzle together, but it's worth mentioning. Ketogenic is referring to the state your body enters when you go on this sort of diet. Your body goes into a state called ketosis. Ketosis gets its name because your body in this state produces something called ketones. Now, how do you get your body to the state of ketosis? You severely restrict your carb intake, you keep your protein intake moderate, you don't want to go too high, but you do want to go hard on your fats. Now, let's say every morning you get up and you just can't function properly without your breakfast fettuccine alfredo to jumpstart your morning. For lunch, you get a Subway sandwich, and for dinner, you chow down on some fried rice. Well, A, you're a fucking monster for going to Subway for your sandwich. You might as well pick up a scoop of dirt on your way to work and eat that. There's more flavor there than in one of those sandwiches. And B, you'd have to cut that shit out. You'd have to completely change the way you eat because that right there is far too many carbs. The sweet spot for a ketogenic diet is anywhere from 20 to 50 grams of carbs per day, depending on what research you're looking at. Some people can get up to 100 grams a day and still get into a state of ketosis, but that's very rare. It all depends on your body type, but typically 20 to 50 grams a day is that golden spot where you're getting some nice rim jobs and seeing great results. Now you know how to get into the state of ketosis, but why would you want to? So when your body's in this state of ketosis, it produces what's called ketones. And in the absence of carbs, your body can't use glucose as its main energy source anymore. Thus, it starts producing ketones to replace it as the main energy source. Is glucose bad? Is it the worst thing in the world? Did it shoot your parents and fuck your wife? No, it didn't. Fuck no, it's fine. But the problem is when you eat something like, let's say, a fucking coconut and Nutella birthday cake, I'd rather eat asshole than that, but let's say you took a bite of that. What this does is it gives you a lot of glucose that your body now needs to use, and if you don't use it all, like let's say you don't run fucking 5 miles to burn all that shit off, it gets stored because your body didn't need it, so it stores it as adipose, which is fat. So now you know that using glucose as your primary energy source is fine, but if you don't use all the glucose, there's a good chance you're going to start gaining some adipose tissue. So how are ketones different, and why do we prefer to use them instead of glucose? Well, first of all, ketones come from the breakdown of fat in the liver. So instead of using glucose, you're using fundamentally fat. You're using your fat as your energy source now. Now the next natural question becomes, why doesn't our liver naturally just break down fats? Why do we have to be in ketosis to really kick that shit into overdrive? It's because of the insulin levels. When you take something in like the example I gave earlier, a coconut shit cake or whatever the fuck it was, your glucose levels go up, but so do your insulin levels, because insulin is responsible for transporting the glucose throughout the bloodstream. When your insulin levels are high, it makes it very hard for your liver to break down fat, if at all. So when you enter ketosis and you're not digesting coconut stinky shits, your insulin levels are dropping as well, which in turn makes it so your liver can break down the fats more easily. So once again, just to wrap that all up and put a pretty bow on it, in essence, you just start using fats, your fat, as your energy source. Now you know what ketones are, why they're a good thing, now you know how to enter ketosis, but now let's talk about some of the things a lot of people make mistakes on when doing a ketogenic diet. The biggest one, and definitely for me personally, this is where I fucked up big time doing keto, is your protein intake. It has to be moderate. It can't be super high. And the reason for that is when you have so much protein and you don't have any carbs coming in, your body starts breaking down protein as its energy source, and this process is called gluconeogenesis. This is the last fucking thing you want. You'll start looking all noodle-armed and noodle-dicked because your body is literally eating away your lean muscle mass. So you have to be very careful when taking in your protein. You have to be very mindful. You keep it at a middle ground level. I can't really give you an average number because that's going to vary from person to person drastically, depending on a lot of different characteristics. Another big common mistake is eating fruits. Fruits are pretty damn high in carbs. You have to pretty much avoid fruits when on a ketogenic diet, which not a lot of people expect or really know how to adapt to, because you grow up being taught that fruits are some of your best friends, but sometimes you gotta leave your friends behind so you can chase your dreams. And in this case, that's exactly what has to happen. And the last huge mistake people make on a keto diet is not getting enough of the right fats. If you're not taking in enough fat, you're not going to be burning fat. You're just not going to really be succeeding in a keto diet. So you have to make sure that you're eating a lot of fat. And for some people, that's pretty hard because you grow up being taught that fat is the schoolyard bully, the playground bully that's just going to shove your face into the mud pies and make you fat. Which, I'd like to say right now, is 100% bullshit. Fat does not make you fat. That myth was started about 50 or 60 fucking years ago when obesity really started to become a problem because of all the sugar in the food, and people started to take notice. So then companies that used a lot of sugar in their shit-ass products started to shift the blame onto fat instead of the sugar to keep sugar looking innocent, and for some reason that still persisted where people think fat is an inherently bad thing. So to put it in Harry Potter terms, the Harry Potter universe, fat would be the Professor Snape. Everyone thinks he's bad and evil, but he's not, and he's had a pretty sad past. And that's really keto in a nutshell, what it is and how it works. I know I didn't dive too deep into exactly how every process starts, finishes, what enzymes are breaking down what, because I don't think many of you give a shit about that. I think what most people want to understand is exactly what it is and how it works. Now, depending on what research you look at, some of it's just bullshit like, keto will not only make you taller, but it'll also make your dick 10 times bigger. Do a keto diet now and buy my book so you know how to do it right. Obvious scams, don't fall for that kind of shit. But there is a myriad of other health benefits besides just fat loss. Insulin levels are reduced, and then there's other studies that say that, you know, your mental focus is improved, blood pressure is improved, a whole bunch of different shit. I highly encourage anyone out there that's curious about a keto diet or thinking of starting one to do your own research and learn how to do it the right way. But yeah, that concludes this lesson, so class is dismissed. Big thanks to Zeno for the professional as fuck animation to really take today's lesson to the next level.